All right, Melvin, Skip, how's it going?
What's going on, my man?
Nothing much, man.
All is well.
Yeah, man, glad to have you back, Melvin. Third time
Yes, sir.
seeing you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Definitely, man. Skip, this is our first time.
Yes, sir.
We'll get to know you a little bit better. You know, for people who might not know, get to your story growing up and everything, and introduce you to everybody.
Yes, sir.
A little more.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, no problem. Well, you guys work together.
Yes, we've been working together since 2005 when Chip came in with Second Call, an intervention and prevention program, and he's been having his boots to the ground, not only since 2005, but before then. He's been through the wars. He's spent his time on the pavement. And so many times we hear like guys like Salston White and other ones that abuse the internet to where we don't hear the other side of people's voices that doesn't be heard. So I thought it would be greatly appreciated that we bring attention to those that does the work when the camera's not around. So this is just one of many guests to where we can show us out here on the West Coast, we make it happen. And that's what's going on right now. So I brought Skip up because his ears is to the ground. He knows what's going on. He deals with senseless gun violence, crime, intervention and prevention, mentorship, and things of this nature, and opportunities for these youth, elders, and adults as well. So I think this is a great opportunity to put a different light and from a different point of view as opposed to what's going on the internet today.
All right, well, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, let's get to know you a little bit better, Skip. Where'd you grow up at?
Man, I grew up all through South LA. Originally born, went to 1221 East 20th Street. That's where my mother grew up, between San Pedro and Alameda, that area right there. So no matter where we moved to Compton, we moved to 66 and Denker, moved on 63rd and Crenshaw. Growing up throughout the city, I had to get out of there and move with my grandmother on Washington and Hobart. So that's where I call home, the West Adams, Washington, Arlington area.
And what was it like for you growing up there?
Well, growing up there was cool. I mean, it was a family, you know. I mean, all the other places my mother went, that's where all the challenges and obstacles were, going to Catholic school, growing up in South LA, around the corner from 2 blocks away from Monster Cody, on the other side, going to school through the 60s. That was the challenge. Moving to Washington and Hobart, that area, that was cool. It was all right.
Whereabouts is Washington and?
That's the West Adams area. It's Sugar Hill. It's, Washington, Arlington area. So we call it the West Adams area.
Okay.
Just north of USC. So it's right there, both sides of the 10 freeway. People know Johnny's Pastrami, Adams and Crenshaw. A lot of people are familiar with that area right there, but that's the same area.
Okay. And what age were you when you were?
I moved over there about 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
But I had already did a tour of all of Los Angeles. Like I say, my mother moved to Compton. My grandmother lived in Inglewood for a minute. So I had been all through LA, by the time I moved over there.
Okay, so you grow up, you get this main part, West Adams. And what are some challenges and things that you're going through in the streets?
I got jumped by the Rollin 60s, living on 63rd and Crenshaw. I had been shot at several times.
Well, what year was this?
I got jumped in 79.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I went unconscious. All that was about 15, 20. It was a whole bunch of people. I can't say how many, but there was a whole bunch. And, I went unconscious. I came to, running down the street. I'm bleeding, all that. So my mother figured I was going to be dead if I stayed, over there. So we had to come up with an alternative. And my alternative was I was out doing bad things. I ended up going to jail. But when I came home, I had to.
How many people do you think jumped you?
I'm thinking about 15 or more, but it was
15
people. It was anywhere from 30 to 60 dudes on the street that day.
And you were by yourself?
I was by myself. Red jacket on, walking
Red jacket
down Crenshaw. As soon as I passed 58, I saw them. But before I can get to 59th, they was on me.
Were they walking too?
Yeah, they were walking, coming from a party. I found out later what had happened. They came from a big party, and they was pumped up. So
Man, so you come to, do you go to the doctors, the hospital?
nah, I ran home. I ran home and was bamming on the door, and my mother was asleep. She heard me bamming on the door. She seen my face. My brother walked outside to see if he could see anybody. My mother came out, and I was like, my brother was talking to somebody. I'm like, there you go, right here. He's one of them, right? And dude was like, nah, not me. My mother got the pistol and started trying to get at them for getting at me. My face was horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, my brother didn't get out as a gangster, but my mother did. She came out the house like, oh, y'all gonna pay for this.
Were you involved in the streets at the time, or were you just like?
You know what? So in 1977, I was still a kid. I mean, I was probably 15 at the time, but when I was 13, I pledged allegiance to I wasn't going to be a victim of the Crips. You know, so I don't want to say I was a blood because I was, but pretty much I was. I made a decision at the age of 13, man, I'm fighting the Crips. They want my money, they want to know where I'm going, this and that, I'm going to fight them. So, but I just didn't have that affiliation. I was in Inglewood and I didn't have that real affiliation with the Inglewood families. I didn't have that affiliation with the East Side 20s where I really came up at. So even though I consider myself a blood, I wasn't tapped into certain groups in Inglewood or certain groups on the East Side 20s. So, or even in the jungles. I went to school in the jungles. So it was just like, you know, I'm a blood just by default because I'm gonna fight the Crips. I don't want to be the victim.
Okay, I see. And now that you've been jumped, I mean, does this change how you move or how you go around or anything?
Oh, definitely, definitely. It also changed my mentality on, you know, the old saying: if somebody hits you, hit them back. Hit them first now. I'm not, you know, at this point, it changed who I became mentally, as well as, you know, as well as my critical thinking skills. You know, it just got better being on the streets. I realized I'll never put myself in that situation again. You know, even in that situation, I'm not the victim. I'm a suspect. I should have never put myself in that situation. I should have never subjected myself to that.